134 hostages remain in captivity inside Gaza. The youngest, a baby, and his 4-year-old brother. The eldest are in their 80s, including Oded Lifshitz, a founder of Kibbutz Nir Oz, a peace activist and human rights activist. He and his wife, Yocheved, were abducted on the 7th of October. Yocheved was, of course, released from captivity after 16 days at the hands of Hamas terrorists. And now the family is still waiting for word on Oded. So for more, we welcome Daniel Lifshitz, the grandson of Oded Lifshitz, abducted on the 7th of October and still being held in Gaza for 171 days. Daniel, thank you so much. I think the nation feels like we know your grandparents. Their pictures from before the 7th of October widely circulated, a happy, smiling couple known for their activism, helping people in Gaza. So to start, how is your grandmother doing since she was freed from captivity? One cannot imagine what she has been through and is still going through right now, waiting and waiting for answers.
So, good evening. And my grandmother, physically, she recovering, but mentally every day past is not making it better. You know, she never thought that she will be here. And now it's about 155 days after she's been released, and still my grandfather is not here, and all the other hostages. So it is a very, very difficult mental situation. She's going every Saturday to protest. She tried to do everything for the release of the hostages and my grandfather. She's alone. She's sleeping alone at bed. It's very difficult for her. She's missing him. She needs him. My shirt is showing how so many families been ripped apart. You know, our family, as my grandmother is back and my grandfather is still there after 171 days. So many other families, as the Katsir family, Cunyo family, which have Sharon Cunyo back, and David and Ariel are still there. It's unimaginable that those families that cannot come back to their life without their beloved ones back.
Unimaginable indeed. And as you say, each day in captivity is so crucial for babies, children, for the elderly as well. What did you know in terms of the health conditions of your grandfather the last time that anybody had seen him in Gaza? What more can you share on that?
Yeah, so I can share that firstly, when my grandmother, she came back, we were not sure that he is even alive, because when she saw him the last time, he was just thrown by the fence, by those terrorists, just by the house, injured and unconscious after he got a bullet in the hand, and he was injured when he held the handle of the safe door. And after the return of the hostages in the first deal, one of them said that, imagine, she'd been there for 55 days, and she said that she was there 6 months, and he was 1 month with her, which means that for every day in captivity, people feel it's 3 days, and they are hostages, held hostages, because they are not captives, as we have no idea about their condition. They don't get any medicine help, and they don't get any visits. So she said that after a month, which probably is about a week or 2 weeks, he fainted, and absolutely they took him for taking care. So we have no idea what happened with him in the last 150 days approximately. And he needs medical treatment. He has blood pressure issues. So we are very, very worried for him, and we are so worried for everyone, because for now, after 100 days, more than 100 days since the last deal, since the last release, we have no real idea what's the situation, and we know terrible things happening there. For those women being raped, those men being tortured, there is no food maybe, there is no treatment. We have to make everything. Now there is a possibility for a deal. That's the most important thing, because only a deal can bring everyone's home. No other thing. Deal is what is now necessary.
And to think that while the Red Cross and medications that were supposed to get to hostages, to the knowledge of everybody here, those medications never got to anybody young or old. At the same time, calls out of the UK that the Red Cross should get access to some of the Hamas terrorists who conducted the rampage that happened on the 7th of October. It's just beyond belief. It really is difficult to even to digest what we're hearing from certain parts abroad, which brings me to the next question, the impact of the international pressure, whether it's from the United States, other allies as well, all those who could have some kind of leverage over Qatar, where those negotiations are being conducted apparently as we speak. What kind of message would you want to give to the international players and to those involved in the negotiations right now in terms of your grandfather and all the hostages getting home safely as soon as possible?
My message is that if the world wants to end as well the suffering of the Palestinians, there is one way that now everybody should walk in. The release of the hostages is the end of the war eventually. Release of the hostages, bring to the ceasefire, and bring to the next day after. Now there is one thing, anyone who wants better place, everybody wants now the end of the suffering for the Palestinians, need to support one thing, and it is the release of the hostages. Everyone has to make all the necessaries, which includes all the parties, which is the Israeli government, USA, and Qatar, to make them busy on one thing, the release of the hostages deal. That's the end of the suffering of everyone, of starvation, of the kids, of the babies, of all the parties. That is my message. Release the hostages and the suffer.
Daniel Lifshitz, we hope for good news about your grandfather, a peace activist. It bears repeating, a peace activist held in captivity. And obviously, we hope for good news for the safe return of all the hostages. You are in our thoughts. Thank you very much for being with us on I-24 News. Thank you.
Thank you.